Hey, what's up, guys? Node Investor here. Are we going to see 9,000 Bitcoin here soon? I've been on the road for the last, what is it? What time is it here? My time. It's 9 o'clock. I've been on the road for about 11 hours and pretty much offline, checking a little bit here and there. Got home, started unpacking a little bit, and I was going, oh my goodness, Bitcoin. Who needs rest? I'm going to do a live stream. And so here I am with you wonderful folks, ladies and gentlemen, out there in crypto land, hanging with the Node Investor. So, man, I want to talk about a couple of things tonight here. So, first, some lessons, because this has been an interesting couple of weeks. And there's been some good shakeouts. There's been some lessons learned. And, guys, it's volatile. Everybody knows that. Cryptocurrency is volatile. But there's the forest from the trees. And that's kind of what I want to point out today. There's trading, and then there's hodling. And there's times to not hodl. And you guys know me. I don't just hodl just for the sake of holding on because I love this coin and I love the project. I'm going to fall in. I mean, you got to adjust. You got to be flexible. But there are times where you got to just bite the knuckles and say, oh my goodness, and hold on tight. So let me go through the chat. Who do we have? Evelyn Stone, always here with me. Welcome. Got Wyoming in the house. Jamaica. All right. God, man, that's what I love about this. We got people from all over. At any time, I could just throw a live stream and you guys are ready to party. Michael Little in the house, 3 p.m. in Australia. Hey, I finally got you guys at a good time. But we got Canada here. So we've got people coming in. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. So let's check it out here, guys. I'm going to go to, this is Bitfinex right now. And I'll throw a couple of them here and cycle through some of these. So we've got Bitstamp coming in at 87.66. Coinbase, extra high, 89.26, probably hit first. And so 88.43, quite the spread here right now. And here's what I want to talk about first, right? So we broke out today. Everybody saw that. Had that nice big breakout, but see this tight pattern we were watching the last couple of days, and it was shaky, right? We were watching the big shakeout. But this is what I want to talk about here. There was these scary shakeouts, and it went from basically 83 down to 77 pretty quick, back up. And there was a lot of people on Twitter, and I'm not going to name names, but there was calling the top, getting out of the way, freaking out. And I get it, right? And if you're trading, cool. You could just get right back in, and I do some of that. But the impression was like that was it. Bitcoin was done. We are going down. And you got to zoom out. Go to the daily chart. And during that day, that was this day, look how little that looks. It's insignificant. It's nothing. And so when you're freaking out and you're holding your longer term holdings and you're wondering, should I get out? You guys know me. You've been following me for a little bit. I follow the 10 EMA very closely on my trading, my holding, and that's kind of my big signal all around. And I mean, didn't even come close to it, right? It was a little extended from the 10 EMA. So it's from a big number perspective, it sounds scary, right? We were at 83 and change, and if we dropped all the way down, that's going to take us to 7,600. That sounds scary, but okay, it's 8-10%. I mean, hell, some of these altcoins do that in an hour, right? So you just have to put that in perspective. And it was just a big lesson because, I mean, people were just freaking out and they were selling. And I was like, well, I mean, if you're trading it, yeah, you can sell and get back in. But if you're just holding Bitcoin, guys, you got to be willing to give it some room. And so just a little lesson. The 10 EMA is generally my first rule of thumb. I also look at, trend lines. I look at breaks of horizontal resistance support. So there's a couple ways to look at it, but if you're holding up, you're holding up. Just relax. And so we never broke. I mean, look at this. We've bounced. We came real close yesterday. We set up. Things were getting real tight. We go back to the 1 hour. Look at this right here. This is what I was looking at here. And so my trading account, I had some fiat position and I was starting to buy back in right here, 8,100, 8,200, right in this little range, and had the rest on a conditional order to buy the rest on a breakout. And that's what happened, right? So we saw this big breakout today and bam, off to the races. And so you got to look at that. So just keep that in mind when you start seeing these setups. Yeah, there's the conspiracy, there's the freak it out, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But when something is strong, generally speaking, it's going to surprise to the upside. In Bitcoin right now, we've got the futures coming. We've got potential ETFs. I've been sounding like a broken record now. We're talking, just the strength. I'm talking about next year. Mainstream adoption is going to get even bigger. So the strength is to the upside, and I think we'll continue to see some more upside. So that being said, the percents are getting smaller, right? We were, when you go from 4,000 to 5,000, that's a pretty big deal. When you go from 8,000 to 9,000, it's still exciting, but it's not as big of a deal. When we go from 9,000 to 10,000, I mean, look at this. We're going to go from 9,000 to 10,000. It's going to be a 10% move, 11% move. I mean, that's a lot for a $100+ billion asset, but it's not enormous, right? It's not like you're going a 30% move, right? I mean, there's more upside. So that's it. Just wanted to share that. If you take a couple of zeros off, it kind of puts it into perspective. If you're buying a $84 asset and it goes to $90, that's awesome, but it's not like incredible. But don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm not going to splash any water on this party. 9K Bitcoin, guys. Incredible. I mean, think about where we were at the beginning of this year. I mean, we've come a long way. So if you look at the coin market cap, $281 billion. Bitcoin dominance is still drifting lower. So that's kind of a good sign. Some of the alts are holding up, and I'll get into those here shortly. But just look at this year we've had. I mean, just has been the year. I've been talking about the J curve forming, that parabolic. Some of you guys have sent me some comments about, hey, every time we hit this upper resistance line, it starts to break down. And my reply has been that upper resistance line is kind of becoming insignificant, that parallel channel, because it's not moving in a parallel channel. It's starting to form that J curve. It's starting to become steeper, and the dips are getting a little shallower. And, we could continue to go up higher. And when you go this high and it starts to get parabolic, it's very dangerous to call the tops because you just never know where the top is. I mean, it could just keep surprising to the upside here. So you just got to be quick and hang on. So here's the dominance. You can see we've had some pretty decent moves here in some of the alts, so we'll get to that. So let's get to the other big three here. Ethereum. Man, oh man. So I want to lesson number 2 tonight. I'm going to do some lessons just because I'm in the mood of, when you sit, when you just kind of have 10 hours to just sit and think, these things come to mind. That's just me. So let me go to another chart here too. Coinbase still has that big wiggle. So there was a couple of things that I was pointing out here. If you guys remember, I was pointing out this descending trend line that it was about to break. And there was 2 ways to look at this, right? There's horizontal resistance when you're looking at a chart. And so everyone's waiting for this breakout, right? The old highs, we hit it twice. We hit this high back here in June. Then we had the big rally in August, and we ended right at the old high. And everyone was thinking, well, Ethereum is forming this gigantic ascending triangle pattern. And it is, don't get me wrong, it is. But you don't have to wait until it breaks out of that gigantic ascending pattern to jump on, because you're going to miss a good portion of the move. And so what I was looking at is, yes, there's that horizontal resistance. And I thought once we break that, it's going to go way past it pretty quick. And it did. But what I was looking at was this, right? I was looking at not just breaking out of that old high, but I was looking at this trend that it was putting in, and it was getting real tight right around this 300 mark. There was definitely a battle I was talking about happening. And, odds favored it was going to go higher because, the support was starting to rise. And once it broke that trend line, it went almost, to this old resistance here, that 330, 340 mark. That was the first pause. And I said the next pause would be around 370. And look what it did. I mean, it broke it, sat real tight, and then actually formed this cup and handle. And then it was off to the races, hit 370, bounced around for a few days, and then boom. That old high at 400, not even a resistance point. Once it hit that 370, it was just gone. And so here we are, nearing $500 Ethereum very quickly. And so this trend line resistance is very important. And we saw the same thing happen in Dash. I was talking about Dash breaking out. That was at $300. Dash is over 600 today. So, I mean, just, you know, these big moves, once they break that resistance, this thing popped way over the old high, came right back down and put in these very strange doji days, 4 of them in a row, but it was just all above the old high, just kind of sitting tight, letting the moving average catch up. And boom, and look at this one, still never has breached that 10 EMA on the daily chart. Still going strong. Are they a little extended? They are, but when they're in all-time high territory, it's just really hard to say what overextended is on the RSI, because it can get pretty extended and still keep going. Litecoin. Let's look at Litecoin. So here's another one. I was talking about this little cup and handle that was putting in here around that $64 range and popped. And this was a little bit strange. It wasn't that big breakout, but it finally did and went right over to that $70 market. Just kind of been marching along real quietly. And then today, with Bitcoin taking off, this thing has just kept pace pretty good. And look at where we're at now. We're right at the old closing highs. Now, I know intraday Litecoin went into the 90s a couple months ago, but the closing high, we're right there. And it makes sense for it to kind of pause, have a little breather here. But I think this one's going to go to all-time highs. I think we're going to break out. We'll be $100 Litecoin here. And I'm holding my Litecoin for now. So there's no indication that you should, there's no sell signal. There's no big volume reversals. There's none of that happening here. And this is just looking really good right now. If we zoom in, near term, there's this little shakiness right at the old high, came right back down, hit the 1 hour 10 EMA on the 4 hour chart, still holding up, just kind of sitting tight, letting the RSI cool in a little bit. And so that's good. You want to see that. It could bounce around between, this high 80s down to even this, $80 mark or so and be just fine. On the daily, that equates to about $77 on the 10 EMA. And so unless it breaches that, I think Litecoin's a hold still. NEO. All right, NEO. So we got to look at NEO a couple different ways here. So NEO USD. We had that big run up a couple of days ago. What was it 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago? And that was the whole news. The rumor kind of was, it was good news, good things for the project, but it wasn't, there was no news, I think, other than China endorsing NEO that would have satisfied us, right? It was just so overhyped, so overexpected. And so once things started coming out, it kind of just faded away and gave a lot of it up. But what I noticed is it paused right at the 10 EMA on the daily on the USD chart. And the USD has been one of the charts I'm watching here because this $37 mark, give or take, has been that area of resistance here. And it broke above it, came right back underneath again. Yesterday, tried to rally pretty good, and it's just sitting right there. And so I think it's still good. I'm liking the way NEO is holding up here. I think NEO BTC took a hit today, as did many of the alts. But if you look at this, it's just kind of sitting tight, holding up. So if it continues to go, if we see NEO get over $40 and the momentum comes in, that high 40s mark is going to be the next level to watch. And then if we get over $50, and very likely, we're, it's been sitting real tight here, and it's just on a closing basis, that $48, $49 mark, that's going to be the level to be watching. I think if it gets above that, it's going to very quickly take out that old high. So keep an eye on NEO there. Versus BTC, a little bit different story. So remember the trend I've been watching? Downtrend. That's where that rally paused a week and a half ago and pulled in pretty sharply and just kind of sitting tight, not really showing as much strength versus BTC. But, the last couple of days in this very tight range. So at least it's trying to hold par. But, I had that breakout attempt yesterday. And I did add some NEO, but it just kind of pulled right back in with the breakout in BTC. If we look at the 4 hour chart, you can see here, it's just that blue line that I have right here, right around 467 Satoshi or so. That's the key level to be watching versus Bitcoin, right? It's tried a couple times. It needs to get back above it. That was the level it should have held on this prior pullback and just kind of broke right through. And since then, has really struggled to get above. I want to see it get back above that. And I think if it can, very quickly we'll be testing that downtrend resistance line again. And now that'd be a pretty decent move from here. If we can break above that, just getting back above that is, 20+% move on NEO versus BTC. So that's, a couple ways to look at it. It's looking very bullish on the USD side, and on the BTC side, still kind of underperforming. So Bitcoin is just super strong right now. Omise Go, another one that was looking pretty good here, and I think it's still looking good. So this one, the USD chart is the one that's giving you better signals here. So it's put in this very tight pattern with key resistance right around that 840, 850 mark, and blew right through that yesterday, almost to $9, pulled right back in. So far, it's holding up, and that pullback has been very low volume, very contained. And so Omise Go is looking really good from a dollar perspective versus BTC. Again, the chart's a little kind of all over the place here. If you look at this, we had this big rally, not a real clean pattern, nothing really to go off of, but it's trying to hold its own versus Bitcoin. It's trying to break out of here a little bit. And so if we can see it start to move again, I mean, yesterday I thought we were going to break out pretty decently. We had that nice run up, pulling in a little bit here with Bitcoin rallying, but I'm liking Omise Go. As long as it continues to hold this more recent support level right around this 8,900, 90,000 Satoshi, 89,000, 90,000 level or so, it's good to hold, in my opinion, if you're still holding it, as long as it doesn't break that. But this chart looks really nice, so I'm liking the way it's setting up there. All right, let's see what else. What else should we look at? Vertcoin. Vertcoin was actually looking pretty good here. BTC. So Vert's one of the good ones, holding up very well versus BTC today. Had that big breakout. It was pretty volatile here once Bitcoin started really running the last couple hours. I'll zoom in a little bit here. You can see the volatility really just with that Bitcoin moving high, and that's not a huge move. It's a 10% swing, so not exactly wild swing, but I mean, if you bought at the very top, that you got to just kind of work through that. But it's holding the trend, and it's holding that moving average, and I'm liking the way it's acting here. It's looking pretty good. The breakout was kind of this little level here. Let me put the line in for you guys, versus BTC, because this prior support level became resistance once it broke down. Not exact, it's more of an area here, but you can see the line right around that 52, 53K level. And once it broke out here, last couple of hours, pulled right back. So far, holding up. And so I'm liking the way it's looking here. I think it's going to have a little bit of a challenge just because it was so overbought here at these levels. So I know there's still people holding Vert that are kind of still taking a little bit of a loss. So I think it's going to have some challenges getting above these next levels. But I mean, even if it can rally up to these next resistance levels, that's a huge percent-wise move. So if you go from here to the next level, it's only 7%, but above that, 31%. So that's going to be your next target, that 73, 74K level. See if you can get above that. All right, let me look at these comments here. You guys are just going here full speed. Oh, let me see where we at on Bitcoin. Will we hit 9K tonight? Man, GDAX is really, really loving Bitcoin right now. It's almost $100 higher here, so it probably will on the GDAX. Dash. We talked Dash. We talked Litecoin. We talked NEO, Omise Go. Covered Vert. Zcash. Yeah, I'm liking Zcash too. So let's go to Zcash. And again, this one I like to watch on the USD chart. But going to the daily chart here, we had that big pump a couple months ago where it got listed on exchange and just kind of broke out to old highs and just really sold off after that. But, just been marching along very quietly. I mean, this is a nice little move off the lows there. If you look on a percent basis, it's already up 57% off the lows. So just kind of marching along. I'm thinking it's still really strong. I'm liking the way it looks. And these old highs here around 400 or so is not too far away anymore. So I'm watching that. Another 18% away, but steady. I mean, just strong, marching along. If you're on it, nothing to complain about there. Just kind of pauses here, holds, goes up. Big volume move earlier today, but Zcash looking very nice. IOTA, IOTA was really strong for a couple of weeks back here. It's been kind of consolidating here the last couple of days. So if I go to the daily chart here, I mean, IOTA pretty much had a, what is that, a couple 100% move there off the lows. I mean, once it broke above that downtrend, here's another example of that downtrend, guys. And so let me clear this first line. So you can see that big downtrend resistance here. And that was really the wall. We had a lot of rally attempts into that and some good tradable rallies, but just nothing sustainable until this day. Big volume pop to the upside. You can see the volume that came in right here on that same day. And the next day, just some big follow through. And once it broke that downtrend, it just started really marching along. And if you would have waited just until that break, I mean, even if you got in high, you were up at one point 100% on that and just went pretty much to the old highs, pretty close, not exact, but right up there. I think it needed to consolidate. It was just very strong, very quick move. And right now, just kind of sitting tight, holding up. It's tried to shake down, and it's had some pretty big shakeouts. I mean, off the lows, it was down 30%. Off the highs, it was down as much as 30% at one point, but just kind of holding tight. I think it's going to consolidate a little bit more here for a couple more days at least. But IOTA's still looking pretty good. If we zoom in a little bit on the 4-hour chart, I mean, this big red bar here is kind of your big support here in the last couple of days. So you don't want to see that get taken out. If it does, you can come back down to this 60-cent mark or so. So that's going to really be it. Don't want to see it get much below that. And if you like it, maybe a dip into some of those recent levels here around 70 cents or so might be a good secondary entry point there. Let's see what else. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. The Dragon Slayer. So comments on the Dragon Slayer. And let me just preface it by saying this. Bitcoin is a threat to various parties, right? To the banking establishment, to the Fed, to a lot. I mean, and rightly so, right? The dream, the decentralized, the peer-to-peer transaction, the payments is wonderful, but it's not going to just happen. There's going to be constant attacks. There's going to be FUD. There's going to be people calling it a scam, calling it a bubble, calling it a Ponzi scheme, and on and on and on. And Bitcoin continues to climb the wall of worry to new highs. That being said, the mining side of Bitcoin, yes, has become very centralized, and the average person cannot control a significant amount of hashing power or anything, right? It's several mining pools, and I mean, it is what it is. It's ASIC, and they're just trying to get better and better ones. And we are well past the everyday person, unless we all start getting ASICs too. But I mean, mining farms are just huge. They're big scale type businesses. And so there's huge interests on both sides. There's the mining side, they get the fees from that, the transactions. There's the other side, the development that, hey, we want Lightning Network and we want SegWit 2x and we want faster, cheaper transactions. And absolutely we want that. So there's starting to be these competing agendas, these competing interests. And it's huge because, I mean, you look at the history of the world, whoever controls the money and the money supply, whether it's gold or the US dollar or anything, you're some of the most powerful people in the world. And Bitcoin's not going to be any different. People are just not going to watch Bitcoin just come and take over. There's going to be people that try to attack it, try to undermine it, try to control it, try to fork it. Speaking of forks, we're going to get to that. There's like 100 forks of Bitcoin coming. But so the whole Dragon Slayer thing, the conspiracy, I think there's more FUD to it than not. But is Bitcoin Cash trying to establish itself and try to gain market share? Absolutely. And just with the hashing and the difficulty changes and all that, yes, I mean, there's certainly the threat of trying to expand the Bitcoin network and all of that. But will they take down the Bitcoin network? Honestly, guys, no, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of interest on the Bitcoin side itself. And I know the mining pools have a lot of power, but there's just a lot of it might get slow. I think Bitcoin, the network could get attacked, get slow again, could see a mempool start to get back up, but it'll resolve itself. Now, will Bitcoin Cash go away? I don't think so. I think Bitcoin Cash is going to be here, and it's establishing itself, and there's powerful people on both sides of this, and so it's kind of holding up its own. And I've actually been adding a little bit of Bitcoin Cash to my longer term holdings once I started seeing it kind of hold support here and start establishing itself. Not a huge position, but hey, why not? I'm going to hedge a little bit and keep some Bitcoin Cash. And so far, it's working out pretty good. But I've been trading it too. There's no doubt about that. There's been some good trade opportunities on this one. So if you're worried about Dragon Slayer, I guess you should sell your Bitcoin. I mean, if you're really truly worried about that, I mean, what else can you do? I'm not selling my Bitcoin. So 8,800. We're about to hit 9,000 on GDAX here pretty soon. All right. What else? We covered it. That's it. We're done. ARK. So ARK dollar. Let me go to ARK BTC. You know, still hasn't broken that trend on the 4-hour chart, but I'm watching this one. Kind of putting a little bit of a descending wedge right now, but keep an eye on this. See if it can get back above this 10 EMA and maybe have a little rally here. Power. Yeah, Power had a crazy nice run last week. It was due for a pause, though. Way overdue for a pause. But let me switch this out. So Power. I don't know what to say. If you didn't take profits and you're already holding this one, you know what I was really hoping it did, and it just didn't, I think it was just way overextended, so it needed to. But I was thinking it might have been putting in a little bit of a bull flag and maybe it was going to give us a third leg up, but it didn't. And, you know, it was just up huge. I mean, from these lows in a couple of weeks, I mean, you were up almost 300%. And so it was well overdue for a pause. And really the last couple of days of that run up was just, you know, just really quick and good. It was high volume. I think it just needs that consolidation right now. And it's trying to hold up. Really the level of support to be watching on that old consolidation high right around here. So that's going to be really the key level to hold. If it doesn't hold that, you might see a pretty decent retracement. If we do a fib retracement on that, let's do the whole move up from peak to peak here. So looking at that, we're pretty much right at that first level, that 382 level. Correlates to about 84.74. And that makes sense because that is the prior zone here. You can see, you know, this little area right in here, that old consolidation that it broke out of. So if that doesn't hold, you could see a retest of this 618 level right at 63.81, which also correlates with the low of that consolidation. And so we'll see how low it goes. I'm thinking, if I had to guess, we'll probably see a little bit more pullback on this one. It's just me guessing. I'm not in it. And so if it bounces here, maybe it might set up a good secondary entry and start putting a little base here. All right. Quantum. Whatever happened to Quantum? I was watching this one. It's giving some signals, but it never happened. So versus BTC, I was looking for an inverted head and shoulders. Started to form that right shoulder. It was right near that breakout point, but it didn't. And it was okay for a couple of days because it could put in a handle. But if it just continues to drift, then that kind of invalidates that pattern. And so I'm not really watching that pattern anymore, but I am still watching Quantum to see if it can outperform Bitcoin here. It's on the USD looking pretty good. It's still marching along slowly here, but versus Bitcoin, I mean, if you had to pick between the two, the chart here is telling you should have been in Bitcoin for the last couple of days, but nothing major. It's just not really breaking out yet. So keep an eye on it. All right, I'm seeing some flames with 9,000 Bitcoin. Not yet. We're getting close though. On the GDAX, we're getting close. Bitfinex is 88.91. It's a big spread. I mean, it's really not $100 on 9,000, but it's surprising that it's $100. All right, let's look at a couple others here. Civic. So I've been watching Civic here. This level right around 47 or so, 4,700, has been that key resistance level, horizontal resistance, and it's trying, but it's just not breaking out yet. It had that big volume pump, but just totally reversed it, so just couldn't hold it. Nothing to do yet, I think, until it breaks out. Now that's a big percent move from now, so if you go from there, that's 20%. So maybe a quick trade up to that resistance and then see how it does. But what I do like about this here is it's trying to put a little divergence on the RSI. It's trying, not a lot, but it's trying. Same on the MACD, trying to edge up here as this volume stays slightly low. But nothing to do here yet. Ethereum Classic, another one that's just been marching along. So Ethereum Classic USD up to $21. And look at that 10 EMA, just holding that line. Versus BTC, not too bad. Actually put in a little bit of a flag pattern here. Might be a little secondary entry versus BTC. But it's getting a little extended on the USD side. So let me go to the 4-hour chart. Had that nice breakout. This was a good shakeout bar here. If you were holding a stop, you probably got stopped out on that. And at this point, I'd probably just sit tight and hold BTC if you got stopped out on this until it tries to put in a little bottom here somewhere. But on the USD side, if you're watching that, it's still holding up. So it's kind of, it's always interesting to see both sides. And I do look at both, especially for some of the bigger names, because sometimes the pattern on one, it's a little clearer and more of a setup versus the other side. But it's good to look at both. Decred. So Decred, a couple things I was looking at here. Near term for a trade, that double bottom on the 4-hour chart gave you a nice little trade. The breakout point was right there. And rallied up to that next resistance point, which is this blue line right around 610 or so on the BTC chart. And even from that breakout point, I mean, it's just amazing how that happens. It just, look at where it paused. I mean, that had that wick that went right to there, but not a bad little trade, right around 32%. Pulling in right now, not really breaking down though, holding up so far. So as long as these most recent lows continue to hold, it's looking pretty good. And if you zoom out on that, on the broader scale, you can see on the bigger pattern, there's this big inverted head and shoulder pattern starting to form, and we've rallied right up to that neckline. So if we can break out above that, that's going to be a pretty significant breakout, in my opinion, on Decred. And so you can see some further upside on that second leg up if it breaks out here. So two patterns, so, one kind of within the other one, but gave you that early entry here a couple days ago. Looking good, though. Looking good. Oh, yeah, Bitcoin Gold. We'll look at some of those here. So we talked Ethereum Classic. If you're just joining, we talked the big three. We talked Vertcoin, Neo. Let me say go. I might cover some of those, but let me get through the rest of the list here first. You're dumping Bitcoin at 89,999. Well, then, just for that, I'm going to dump at 8. Come on, guys. If it breaks 9, you're going to just see 10 here pretty quickly. 10K in December. That's what they're saying, right? 10K in December. 8902. Right there. There you go. 8990 on GDAX. Getting pretty close. Getting pretty close there. Stratis. Yes, how could I forget? So I'm liking Stratis here, guys. Let me show you Strat BTC. So had that nice little move out. Stellar, wrong chart. I was like, this doesn't look like the chart I bought. Strat BTC. And so again, another similar pattern where it had this little pullback and got in on a little early entry, right around that breakout level there. Popped above, pulled right back, and so far it's just starting to edge higher. Now, if you're conservative and you're waiting for the true breakouts, right, you'd be more holding out for kind of that 55.9 level. And we're right there. We're right there. But what I'm liking is similar to what I'm seeing on some of these other charts. Look at this USD chart. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. Since it peaked many months ago, Stratis has just rallied, but it's always failed at this resistance line, except for in the last couple months was really starting to put this low, had a nice little double bottom, really holding up above that 290 level or so. And just in recent days, it's starting to edge up above that resistance line. So let's see if it can hold, but I'm liking the way it looks. The volume patterns here in the most recent days have been very strong. On the BTC side, it's starting to outperform a little bit. So Stratis is looking good. I bet you guys would never thought I was going to say that, but I like Stratis here, guys. So one to watch versus BTC, though. I mean, last couple of days has outperformed, sitting tight here today. And if it breaks above that, let's call it 56. That's going to give you a pretty good leg up, I think. So Stratis. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Liske. You mean you didn't take profits? I'm kidding. So Liske was one of the very strong names, and this was your clue right there. Big volume reversal day on Liske. You can see the volume showing up right there. And it tried to hold its own for a few days. And if you didn't sell there, that's okay. But this was your kind of your little box to be watching, right? This lower support level right around 106. Resistance right around 132, and it was a wide range. It was sitting tight, but then it had that big volume break here, and that was it. It's kind of just drifting lower here. I think you're seeing a lot of profit taking. I don't like these little like box top patterns. So if I were holding Liske, and I'm not, so I'm indifferent here, but this would have taken me out. This break here, if I didn't sell at the top here in the reversal side. So a couple of signals it gave you there. How far could it go if you're still holding it? I mean, this is the daily. You can see it broke the 10 EMA on that break, and so far it's trending lower. The 10 EMA is going to be that first resistance level, but it's just kind of trending lower right now. So I don't know where the next support level is. Let me look at this. This tough one here. I mean, this consolidation here that it broke out of that little flag is probably it, and it's sitting right there. So see if it can hold. That's Liske. All right, let me go through some of these comments. We've got 554 people watching the 9K Bitcoin party, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button. All right, let me see here. Somebody said it just hit 9. Not according to this. It hit 8995. Close. We are close. I have done Litecoin, but let's take a look at Litecoin because I'm liking Litecoin and I'm holding my Litecoin so far. And so a couple of things to look at. Litecoin USD has rallied to the old closing highs, which were basically $89. We did get those couple intraday spikes during that last big pump it had, and it's holding tight. And I actually would prefer for Litecoin to sit tight for another day or two. Let this moving average catch up. Let the RSI, some of that cool off a little bit. So we went up to about 78, not too bad. Let it pull in a little bit more. And then, yeah, I think we're going to see new highs on Litecoin. Now, Litecoin BTC, it was starting to outperform here last couple of days, pulling in pretty good here today with a lot of these altcoins. But look at the volume on that Litecoin BTC pulling. Not a lot of volume. So there's not a lot of selling happening here. People are holding their Litecoin. And I think we're going to see new highs. So far, so good. What I would be doing is watching that high 70s mark on the USD chart. Really, that's kind of your stop here. And I'm freezing up. Here we go. So 83 is that 10 EMA, and this is going to be kind of the big support level. If it can't hold this, it's probably going to see some more downside. So 77, but I think we're going to hold it. All right, here. What else? And so, all in all, yes, there's some red in the alts today, but I'm actually liking the way the alts are holding up. I mean, it's a change from what we saw over the last 7-8 weeks. Typically, when BTC would pump this hard, the alts were crushed. And they're pulling in, but it's not that bad. And some of them are holding up well and even outperforming. And so I'm liking the alts right now, guys. I'm actually very bullish on a lot of these right now and holding some of these positions. So makes for some good trading, makes for some good holds longer term. Waves. Let's look at waves. Man, it's getting real close to breaking out there on USD. Waves is looking good versus BTC here. Still hasn't broken above that resistance line. That's the line I'm watching on waves, that 69 and change. And if it can start to get above that, you might see waves outperform there. But, it's actually holding up pretty good. I mean, you can see how tight this pattern is on the last couple of days, last week or so. So it's holding par with Bitcoin pretty good. NAM. Come on, NAM. Where are you at? NAM. NAM is it's trying. Actually been sitting pretty tight here up until today. I thought it was going to start setting up here. That range, let me go to that range here. On NAM is, it's about 9% wide. That's actually pretty tight for this one. This one tends to pump pretty quick when it gets going, but that's the level I'm watching. If it can get it back above, first above that 27 level, but if it can really clear this 3,100, 3,200 level, might finally see some action come back to NAM. But not yet. Not yet. So we talked Vertcoin. Let me go back to the VTC here. And so Vert's looking pretty good. A little volatile here the last couple of days, but I think it's looking pretty good. It's kind of been outperforming Bitcoin last couple, let's call it a day or so, really was the big thing. And so this first level that I was watching here broke out of yesterday. That was at 52, 53K level and pulling right back to it. And so far holding up nicely. So I think it's good to hold still. That's the level you're going to be watching though. If it breaks below that 53, then it's just not ready yet, but I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. Might continue higher here, pulling in a little bit, normal pullback. And if you're not in it, and you missed that breakout, this could be a nice little secondary entry here, right around that 53, 54K level. And we'll see if it holds. And that really would be my stop. So if I picked it up here, I mean, that's a 4 or 5% stop. That's nothing. But first level support about 7% higher, right around 60. And the next level that I'm really watching is that 73 or so. So that's Vert. We covered Stratis. We covered, oh man, you guys, I'm not going to brag. It was just luck. Did you guys see that pump that Augur had the other night? Oh man. So this was fun. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So Augur was setting up really nice, had that big volume, double bottom here, and I was liking it. Picked me up a little bit of Augur after this right there. See that little consolidation I put in? I was looking at that. I was thinking, okay, it's breaking back out. It's holding up. This was a nice little pause. Hey, why not? And I saw it start moving up, pick some up, and no joke, like 30 minutes later, it was up 90-some%. And there's nothing left to do but take profits on something like that. It actually went as high as 125. I didn't catch that much, but it was a nice trade. Very quick trade. And just crazy volume, pump that thing up. Augur. But, it's holding that breakout point. So it's actually technically back to where I picked it up the first time. So see what it can do here. If we can do a little double bottom off this support, maybe get another leg up on this one. Augur. All right. What else? Ripple? 89,999. Let's go see Bitcoin first. 89,999. All right. It's here. We're 1 penny away. Will somebody just go buy some Bitcoin real quick and just pump this thing over? 9K on GDAX. Just everybody buy Bitcoin. There it is. No, there it is. 9,000 on the GDAX. Ladies and gentlemen, 9,000 Bitcoin. Welcome, Bitcoin. It's like, feels like New Year's, right? It's like, yay! Let's drop the ball, pop the champagne, eat some food. I'm actually pretty hungry. Let's see if it can hit on the other exchanges. I'm pretty sure it will. But hey, 9K Bitcoin. Let that sink in for a second. 9K Bitcoin. We were all freaked out when Bitcoin went from 1,900 down to 1,500. Remember that? Here we are. 9K Bitcoin. Very nice. Everybody sell. It's going to crash. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't sell. I mean, it is pretty extended on the 4-hour. But it's new highs. New all-time highs. What's, Bitcoin Cash, surprisingly, is holding up better than I thought it would be. They were the seesaw. One would run and one would pull back and the other one, but it's actually held up surprisingly well here the last couple of days. I mean, it had that big pump on US Day Thanksgiving, and it's down 13%. That's nothing. That's just a consolidation. And so I'm watching this one, guys. This is very interesting. Putting a little bit of a bull flag here, just kind of sitting tight, letting that moving average catch up. So how interesting is that? They're going to both run together. But yeah, Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Gold. All right. So I had my Bitcoin Gold on Bittrex still that I got from them, and I did nothing with it. And I was just sitting there, just kind of ignoring it. It's there. And well, I don't know. What do you guys think I should do with that Bitcoin Gold? Should I just hold it? It's almost putting a little bit of a cup and handle pattern here, isn't it? How deep is that? It's pretty deep. Okay, might be putting in a double top. Bitcoin Gold, though. I mean, was it $400, $350? Who knows? I don't have a lot of it. It's really not that big of a deal, so kind of just watching it. Oh man, look at that. People on GDAX just really want their Bitcoin. They're all dumping Litecoin and Ethereum, buying Bitcoin. 88.55 on Bitstamp. 89.27 on Bitfinex. Here it goes. I think when it's on Bitfinex, it's going to be official, right? GDAX, but Bitfinex, that's going to be the price. It's done. 9K Bitcoin. All right. So let's see what's holding up good on 9K Bitcoin. Not bad. Dash hit new highs. Anybody here holding Dash? I'm liking my Dash. I gotta admit, Dash has surprised me. I mean, I was expecting a little rally, but wow. I mean, it went from 300 to 600 in no time. How many days was that? 17. It's not bad. 3 weeks. Not bad at all. Will it hit 10K tonight? Nah, I doubt it. Calm down. Calm down. I can't have the 9K party and the 10K party all at the same time. I want to have two parties, guys. Got to have two parties. All right, so let's see here. Pivx. Someone's asking for Pivx. So Pivx BTC. Man, Pivx, what's going on here? So here's what I'd be looking for on Pivx. It would be ideal if Pivx held and put in a little bit of a double bottom here, but there's nothing to do yet. You just got to wait for this one, see if it can first get back above, start to put a little pop here, maybe a little rest, and then that could be your signal. But there's really nothing to do. Either that or it just does what a lot of these altcoins do and just has one of these massive pumps. Then you wait for a pullback. That's what you do. Don't go chasing those green candles unless you catch them early. Sometimes you do. So we were talking NEO. NEO USD, $37 was the level I'm watching. It still looks good on the USD chart, but NEO BTC kind of just sitting tight. Really tried to have that breakout yesterday. Good volume came in, just reverse, but it's sitting tight. So far, holding par with BTC the last 5 or 6 days. But I'm still holding some NEO here. I'm liking it. I'm thinking it's going to run a little bit on this USD chart. It's setting up nicely. Had that big run week and a half ago, pulled right back in, and looking like it wants to maybe start heading higher here soon. And the level I'm going to be watching is if it can get back above that $48, $49 mark, it's going to be off to the races. Let's see what Litecoin's doing. Litecoin? I want Litecoin to sit tight here for a couple days and then hit new highs. Oh, let's see here. Quantum. Monero. Man, Monero. Another one that was marching nicely, broke out to new highs, sitting tight right above those new highs here, putting in a nice little ascending flag pattern. Let's zoom in on the 4-hour charts. And maybe we will see new highs on Monero. So we'll see here. It's looking pretty good. As long as it can hold some this level here, around 155 or so, and a little bit of a range there. But Monero's pretty good. One of the stronger ones here in recent weeks. One of the early movers, too. I had that early run-up along with some of the other names. Ethereum Classic, EOS. But looking pretty good. The last real good entry on Monero was this little bull flag I gave you right there, right around $120, $130 mark. And that was right before it broke out to new highs there. And that was good entry on Monero BTC. That was this little low right around there, but not bad. Ripple. I don't know about Ripple. I've been watching this one here. You know, that 30-cent mark has just been a real big resistance points. And it's kind of one of these, just sits in this range. Pretty good tradable here, but that range is getting a little tighter here in recent days. That low around 20 cents or so is starting to really hold up. I'm not in this one. It's kind of right in the middle here, kind of in no man's land. I mean, it's marching, right? So that old saying, the trend is your friend. I mean, that's right off the lows, just kind of holding tight. So see how high this trend continues. 8x. Look through a couple here. 8x BTC sitting real tight here. Just keep an eye on this little trend that it's trying to try it a few times to break out of there. That's the trend I'd be watching here near term. If it starts to get above that, could give you an early signal entry, and on the horizontal line, you know, this little area is going to be the confirmation here, right around there. Not the dip. Right around that 15K mark, basically, give or take. All right, cool. ARK. Did we cover ARK? I think we did. We've covered a lot of them already. I was talking about ARK, maybe a little potential declining wedge pattern here on ARK the last couple of days. And if you're familiar with these tend to break out to the upside. And so that could be a potential break there. If you see it pop above, might be an early signal on ARK. ARK BTC, let's look at the 4-hour. Not a bad little wedge. Not bad at all. All right. Genosis. Man, that one pumped good, huh? What do you think about using stochastics in trading? You know, I used to a lot, to be honest with you, but I really just don't anymore. What I tended to use them for a lot was divergences, bullish, bearish divergences. And now I kind of get the same out of the RSI and the MACD. And so I'll tend to just use those for my bullish, bearish divergences. And I don't really rely on stochastics, the index itself, right? Like if it gets to 70 or whatever, any level, I wasn't using it for that. So I don't tend to use them anymore. Here's my philosophy when it comes to trading. Price and volume action trump everything. So get very familiar with understanding trend, support, resistance, you know, common patterns, cup and handles, double bottoms, double tops, inverted head and shoulders, all that good stuff, because that just paints a picture of psychology in the market. And then secondary, moving averages. And then third, RSI, MACD, Fibonacci, stochastics, however you guys want to do it. So that's kind of my order, and I use it in that way. Price and volume first, always. Genosis, really pulling in here. See if it can hold this. I didn't do any research on this. I saw this thing pumping last night. I don't know if there was news or what, but had quite the move and pulling in pretty quick here. Man, what's that percent off the top? Well, it's not too bad. Down 30 some percent, but off the lows, 100+% very quickly. And I don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't know anything about that move. I know about Genosis. I don't know if anything caused that. Let's see, 10x. We didn't cover 10x yet. Look how tight that's been sitting. Man. And so you can see my old lines here. What I was hoping to see on 10x was this double bottom pattern rally right to that resistance point. That was really your profit taking area and turned out to be a pretty good call. And I was thinking it'd be nice if 10x just paused here for a little bit and then busted out above that. And it pretty much just gave up the whole move and just sitting very tight versus BTC. So if you look at 10x, the fiat equivalent, it's going up and it's looking good, but that's just because it's going up with Bitcoin. But it's sitting real tight. I mean, just real flat, basically on par with Bitcoin. So, I mean, if you're holding it here, you're not losing anything because it's sitting pretty flat with Bitcoin. So, real interesting chart. It's unusual to see them that tight for that long. Let's go back to Bitcoin. GDAX still over 9,000. The others. Come on, guys. Time to catch up here. They will. They're looking pretty good. Monaco. Do I have Monaco on here? Yeah, I do. I thought I did. Cool. Let's see here. Yeah. It's funny how I have a lot of these charts just kind of pre-populated. You can tell I look at charts a lot. Kind of just always drawing and checking them out and seeing potential setups. And so when I do my scans and my routines, this is what I'm doing. I'm just kind of checking out where's the chart, where's it going, where's it's been, what are the levels I'm watching, and if I'm liking something as a potential breakout imminent, I'll put alerts. And if I really liking something, I'll just throw a conditional order out there for it to buy automatically if it breaks out. And so this one here, that's the level I've been watching, that 74K. It's tried a few times. Nothing to do yet. If it breaks above that, that's going to be your signal, really. And if it, this on the downside, this is the level it really needs to hold, right around that 63 or so. FUSD 450. Come down a little bit. So pulling in. But here's the thing. It's just had such a big run, guys. Ethereum is super strong. And the last couple moves came on pretty quick. Big volume right at the end. It needs to pull back, and I think it will continue to do so. But it might just sit tight here in this, not that low. Probably going to sit tight right around 440, 430 at the lowest, in my opinion. The 10 EMA is all the way down to 400. Will it retrace all the way back to 400? I really doubt it. But Ethereum's looking pretty good. 500 was my target. That's a real key psychological number, just a big round number. And so I'm thinking we'll see a couple of days of rest here and then head higher. It's my opinion. That's not financial advice. But hey, I was buying some Ethereum. Not here. Not there. Somewhere back here. All right. 10K party tonight. I don't know, Jessica. That would be cool. I don't think we'll see 10K. No. I really don't think we'll see 10K tonight. If we saw 10K tonight, no, I'm not going to give away any Bitcoin. All right. So, hey, was that financial advice? No, that wasn't financial advice. That was my opinion. All right. So let's see. Omise Go. We talked to Omise Go. So the thing to look on Omise Go, that Omise Go USD chart setting up real nice. On the BTC side, this 990K level or so, right around there, is the level that I really wanted to see hold. But on the USD side, that will equate to that $8 mark or so. That 840, 850 level was the breakout point. So we saw a very nice breakout of this pattern yesterday. Good volume coming in. And so far it's holding, and the pullback has been very mild, very small volume on that pullback. And it's not unusual to have that throwback. They break out, they pull right back, and that generally offers a good, nice secondary entry point if you're missing it. And this is the level I'm going to want to watch it hold. So on the 4-hour chart, it's pretty much right there. You can see this other level right there. So in this little range, if it holds this little range, I think it's still good. If it starts to break below $8, might to get cautious. Could it go all the way back down to this trend line again? You don't really want to see it do that. That'll be a failed breakout in my opinion. So needs to hold. $8. Neo, we covered Neo. I think we covered it twice. Cover a few more. And if you missed it, I started the party by saying I literally just got out of like 10, 11 hours of driving. Haven't even unpacked. Check the charts. First thing I do, check the charts. Saw Bitcoin. I said, this calls for a live stream. Live stream 9K party. And here we go. Do I prefer linear or log charts? Log charts. Because of what I just said earlier, right? Bitcoin going from 4K to 5K, that's a big move. Bitcoin going from 9K to 10K, not as big of a move because it's just a smaller percentage basis. So I always use the log charts. Once in a while, I'll use the linear, but that's only when something's like really pulling back and the log really doesn't matter because you can neutralize it. But I'll use log, generally speaking. Because when you're doing trading and investing, percents is how I measure it, right? I measure moves in percents. So did it go up 10%, 20%, 30%, right? That's how you do it. And you'll see most indicators, a lot of those, they tend to work in percents, right? Fibonacci's and all that. So hence the log. EOS. So that's the line I'm watching on EOS, seeing if it can consolidate, break out above that. You don't want to see it go too much longer. It's like right there. It's right there. If it's going to bust out here, like EOS, you need to do it here like in the next day. Otherwise, you could see a little bit of more of a pullback here and then maybe see EOS down back to 19, 18K on the BTC chart. So see if it holds here. It's really the key level to hold on EOS. And it needed to pull back. It had a very big run up, and we'll see if it can consolidate. Alternatively, instead of putting in a little bull flag, maybe it decides to put in a base up here, a cup and handle or something. So if you're holding EOS, man, if I was holding EOS, I'd be watching these levels here. Probably that if I didn't already sell, 21 would be my level. Bank it. Bank profits. Bitcoin. So just me, or has Bitcoin been at the same price on GDAX for like the last 15 minutes? What happened? Neo. We covered Neo. Let's go over here. Switching dark to you guys. Salt. Some of you guys asking about Salt. I'll check out Salt on the Binance. I'm going to go to the 4-hour charts here. Sitting pretty tight here. Trying to hold these lows. So it's the level I'm watching here. Let's see if it holds this. Real tight action on Salt, actually. It's a good sign. It holds tight like that. No signals yet. I mean, it's just kind of sitting there, so not really due. I don't like these rounded tops. Don't like that. But, you know, on the daily chart, it's still living below that declining 10 EMA. And you know me, that's a key indicator that I look at. So until it gets above that, I wouldn't be doing anything with it personally. Let's take a look at Link. Link. Radio silence. Should have just typed it in. Scrolling through all of Binance's books. Nothing yet. Still dropping. Come on, Link. What's going on here? It's trying here. Actually, it's seen some pretty good accumulation here off the lows in recent days. So see the volume here, big green bars, lower volume pullback, repeat bars, lower volume pullback. So as long as it continues to hold these most recent lows, maybe that is a low. Maybe it's finding a low finally. And so it could continue to put in a little series of higher lows if it holds right here. It's got to hold right here. And could be it. If it starts to reverse, maybe that's a good early signal. Let me zoom in a little more. This one's pretty volatile. Getting late, guys. Getting tired. But yeah, see if it holds. All right. Is NEO a buy right now? Let's go back to NEO. Here's my thoughts on NEO. The short answer is, if I wasn't holding NEO and I really wanted some, this would be a good buy because you wouldn't be chasing it here. Had that big volume pump, pulling back. So far, holding that moving average. Tried to rally yesterday, pulled in, but holding up right above 37, and that's the level I'm watching on NEO on the USD. NEO versus BTC. It's not quite as bullish. It really needs to break above that 47 level, and it did briefly yesterday, but reversed in. And so this would be the level I'm watching, right? I mean, you just got to see if it holds above this. If it starts to break down, I mean, ultimately, this is like the max loss right down here, but that's a big move down. I wouldn't hold it that much if I pick some up here. That's 20%. So I'd get out of the way if I was picking some up here. Just I'd put a real tight stop, 5-6%. That would correlate to the same on the USD chart. And again, this is more for like me trading. I'm thinking trader account right now. If I was holding it long term, you got to give it more room because this USD chart's pretty bullish on NEO, in my opinion. All right. Let's see what else is moving today. Last couple hours here. Let's look at the 24-hour chart. So some of you guys are asking about Substratum. We'll look at that. Sis had a big pump earlier. Some of these other small names, we'll skip through most of those. We covered Vert. We didn't cover Zcash. I'll look at that one. Covered EOS. All right, so let's take a look at some of these other ones. $280 billion market cap. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. It's incredible. So on the 1-hour chart, I mean, it's still looking pretty good. It's definitely a little bit extended here, but you know, it could just put in another one of these little consolidations that it did here and continue higher. And it needs to. It'd be really healthy if it did. But the volume patterns here are just very bullish. Just it's all accumulation. It's all buying right around here. If you go to the 4-hour charts, again, extended. RSI hit 90 earlier. And so a normal pullback could see it come down 10%. And that would be totally normal. The key would be, how does the volume look on that pullback? If it's a huge volume reversal, then that's usually my signal to either one, put a really tight stop or just book some profits. But if you're holding it and there's nothing here telling you to sell it other than the fact that it's maybe a little extended, it's looking really good. It's looking super strong here the last couple of days. So very nice move on this one. Percentage off the lows once it broke out. Well, if you say once it broke out, then that's really more here. Sorry about that. Let me try that again. If you would have bought that just on the breakout, I mean, that's to this point, you're still up 100%. Not bad at all. What's the market cap on this thing? $83 million market cap. And that's the thing with these smaller, these sub 100, sub 200 million. Man, they could just keep going. Extended is nothing on some of these names because it just doesn't take a whole lot of volume to push them. I mean, it's $7 million trading volume. Well, that's a pretty decent amount. That's not a huge amount compared to some of these other names. So, I mean, if you saw double that volume come in, this thing would keep going, in my opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for this 9K party. It's been wonderful. I am beat. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to unpack. I'm going to relax. I'll get back on and catch up with you guys tomorrow. Put out a weekly update, refresh on the charts, see how we're looking. Welcome 9K Bitcoin. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.